Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
You guys both sound amazing.
Oh, such a relief. I don't have to look at anybody.
Oh,
I
yes,
have all
you're
this
hidden behind a
equipment
microphone again.
Between me and other human beings, this is my safe zone.
The mics won't pick up the tick this time. Sorry about that, Danny.
God.
That was kind of fun to listen to.
Yeah.
I liked hearing the tick.
I was really worried about that. I thought these mics we were using on the phones would just pick that up.
Right.
But it kind of buried it. It was like, okay, that's cool.
I mean, for the first time ever, because I wasn't wearing the headphones, I guess, I could actually hear it while you guys were talking. And
So
I was
stressful.
like, oh, boy.
So stressful. I'm glad you're getting a little bit more of a hint of what it's like for me. One day you'll wake up from a terrible nightmare and then you'll really know what it's like when it goes off for me.
Hey, Eric, you
Yes.
did something cool last night.
Yeah. Steve Hullitz and I from the Bone Bat show went to the Seattle Horror Filmmakers Meetup
Wow.
What is that?
at it's a group of, almost 2,500 members of Seattle horror filmmakers.
Whoa.
I didn't realize it was that large.
Why am I not on part
I feel like I am on that, and I just never
Could
bothered to
be,
look at the page.
Yeah, once you lose sight of some page, it kind of disappears. But it was at this place called Two Fingers Social, and in the White Center area. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's like a horror bar.
What?
They had display cases filled with props from horror movies and other
What?
movies like Indiana Jones and stuff, but
Oh
like
my God.
Beetlejuice and The Exorcist and Jason, Freddy, everything you could think of. They had a wall of swords and knives behind the bar.
Oh
and,
my God.
And it's called what? Two Finger
social.
Social.
Is that a reference to
Yeah,
anything?
I don't understand what
That's
that
the
is.
part I didn't. I'm going, well, this seems like a strange name for this place, but
Right.
it's
Gotta be some deep reference.
established in 2017, so it hasn't been around too long.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, put together largely by a guy named Daniel Hickey, who's runs the page. Also a movie fan. He screened his film Cookie Crumbles at both Bone Bat and Crypticon Film Festival, Seattle Crypticon Film Festival last year, and was saying, but I wasn't able to go to either. I was out of town for both.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, that sucks. But so it's everybody I talked to was in some way or another involved in shooting stuff. A lot of 48-hour filmmakers, which
Yeah.
is
Okay.
something I've never done.
Because they've got the 48-hour horror
Mhm.
film fest, so I can totally see that.
Have you done one of those?
Yes.
How fun is that?
I mean, I think they're incredibly valuable for sussing out people you might want to work with, for getting an idea of what you can do in a really limited time. But, after you've done like 6, call it quits.
Oh my God.
I've done quite a few 48s. The horror one, it's fun because it's got a little bit of a twist to it. So yeah, I think we won. I don't know what we did.
Won some award
We
at
won
some
some
point.
awards somewhere. I don't know. I've got some awards in my closet that I'm like, yeah, I can edit. Look at me go.
How many people do you think showed up for it?
There's probably 40, 50 people there.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It wasn't a big bar either, so it was fairly packed.
Wow.
And Steve and I showed up about an hour late because I'll be talking about it later where we're going to go next. After that, we didn't want to stay too long, but Dan was saying the last time he ran one, he was there from 4:30 to when they shut the bar down.
Wow.
I had no idea this kind of stuff even happened. Are they discussing projects, or is it just a meetup and people are drinking and socializing?
Both. We'll probably get some audience members from this group for our March 11th shoot. I
Okay.
don't think I think we're pretty good on crew, but if we can get we need 8 to 12 people, preferably more than 8, but for the audience. And if we
Right.
could get I figure 16 to 20 people committed to showing up will get at least 8.
Right.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But yeah, it was fun. I'll definitely be doing that. I'll let you know when it rolls around again. And
Yeah. Is it monthly, do you think? Or
I don't think it's quite that
okay.
consistent, but I'll let you know when it comes around and give it a shot. It was fun.
How much fun.
That's awesome. That's really close to where I live, so it'd be cool to stop by.
I saw some stuff. I'm going to talk about 2 things really quickly because you guys talked about them last week.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to jump right in with season 3 of Picard.
Yeah.
And because I'm a smart person, I didn't need anything before that. I caught up very quickly on the story.
I'm very glad to hear it.
I enjoy what I've seen so far, but man, the acting in that show is fucking rough. And I lay it all at the feet of the director because we know Patrick Stewart is a great actor.
Yeah.
And he is acting bad television acting in this.
I think he's had 2 years of practice of bad television acting.
So he's fallen into some bad habits.
I think so. I mean, and also the guy can barely move, so everything they have him do now is like they probably have a stunt guy on the side whenever he's taking a walk down a hallway.
Oh, wow.
No, he's really fragile. So there's a lot of times where I'm like, you know what? If he remembers any lines, good for him. Good job, dude.
Well, it was neat to see everybody popping back up and all that. The guy who plays Riker, I can't remember his name now.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yes, he has always been a really bad actor. And the 20 plus years he's taken off since The Next Generation ended, obviously he is even out of practice of bad television acting. He's hard to watch.
He went on to do a lot of directing, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he went on to do directing.
But then Amanda Plummer shows up and fucking schools everybody on how to act. She's amazing.
Which one's Amanda Plummer?
She's the new bad guy in the
Oh, she was insane.
She's always been amazing. And man,
Holy
she
cow.
showed up and it was just like, wow, this is now awesome television.
I know.
So,
I felt like the second episode, it kind of raised everyone else around. I felt like, oh, hey, look, we got pissy Picard again. I forgot him. Like diplomatic, assessing the situation, not super happy all the time Picard. This is great.
And then the other thing, Eric, I decided to watch or start watching Vox Machina.
Oh, yeah.
And what a cool little show. The humor is dumb.
Yes.
And I'm almost angry every time it shows up because I'm like, this show is so cool. Will you stop doing the ball humor and everything? It just falls apart. I don't think it's funny.
As part of their thing, apparently,
I figured as
from
much.
the original.
And it probably
show.
works better when it's sitting around a table and stuff like that. It doesn't quite translate, but geez, what a gory, cool little show this is.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm
Cool.
so blown away that you are taken out of a show by ball humor. This is like
It's a little
completely
surprising,
new
yes.
information to me.
Hey, listen, if you didn't get it from my rant last week, I just want everything to be good writing. So if the ball humor is funny, I'm on board. But this is not what was that silly fantasy, kind of the same kind of idea, only it was really Rick and Morty type humor.
Okay.
And that is so over the top that I'm totally fine with it.
Or Big Mouth or something like that.
Or
Yeah,
Disenchantment.
this is
Wow.
this is a better Dungeons and Dragons show than anything Dungeons and Dragons has ever done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's got this humor in it, and it's just like, no, it's not quite funny enough, and it doesn't really need to be there. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying the show. I'm like 3 episodes in now.
Yeah, cool.
So.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, I went and saw a movie in a movie theater with someone other than my husband.
Oh,
Shocking.
how does he feel about that?
It was my brother.
Oh,
So, and he was also there. So it was fine. We went and saw Cocaine Bear.
I was hoping one of you do that.
Yeah.
I've heard incredibly good things.
I mean, here's the thing. The premise is Cocaine Bear.
Yes.
You know what you're going
Yes.
to get. The expectations are low. They should remain low. Do
Yeah.
not go in thinking you're going to see a great film.
No.
Please, for the love of God. It is not a great film. It is just that there is almost a story and there's a couple good actors and the humor definitely hits very nicely in a lot of spots. It's not a good movie.
Well, no.
But it's so much better than it has any right to be that it's just a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun to sit through.
I think if you're walking into a film called Cocaine Bear, you know what you're
Yeah,
gonna get.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think I was just like, there is going to be a bear on cocaine. The end. We're just going to see it romp around and there will be nothing else happening. I was really, really not sure about it, but having characters going through different things and they intersect each other and there's like humor playing off of, repetitive moments. I was like, oh, okay, somebody made a script. I'm kind of shocked. I didn't expect that. So,
Is it super gory?
yes.
Okay. All right.
There are things I actually closed my eyes for, and like,
Wow.
there's one thing I cannot get out of my head, and it's just one of those things that you see that you think about. What if that happened to me? And
Oh my.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you guys would both have a very good time with it.
I think so. It's the theater's getting weird. It's like, hey, you know what? We're kind of tired of giant Marvel movies. Let's go see this weird ass.
I know.
Cocaine
It's
Bear
like
movie.
the random bizarro like that and Skinamarink and like what are these films that are just blowing every middling film out of the water because people are like, I saw the Marvel thing and now I'm gonna go see the,
It'll
$1
be on
million,
Disney
$5
in
million
a
budget.
month and a half.
Mhm. Yep.
So I've been watching tons of film festival submissions.
Oh, I'm sure.
So when I'm not watching those, I have veered severely out of the genre world.
Mhm.
And I watched a movie called The Redeem Team, which is a story of the 2008 Olympic basketball team.
Oh, okay.
Going back to win gold back for the U.S. after having lost it for a few Olympics in a row. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I'm not much of a basketball fan.
Yeah.
Once the Sonics kind of got screwed by the NBA, I really haven't watched it at all since then.
Yeah.
But documentaries and movies, I love sports movies. Unabashedly love them. But documentaries about basketball are really good. It's sort of like my first exposure to boxing was the Rocky movies.
Sure.
Now I'm going to go watch some real boxing. I'm like, ooh, this shit is boring. Except for like a minute and a half of the 12 rounds. You're like, doo-doo-doo. But
It's called The Redeem Team.
yeah, it's on Netflix.
Netflix. Okay.
Fun.
I saw Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, hey.
Have you seen this yet, Eric?
I have not.
Okay.
I'll see it, but it's not. I've heard so much about how it bastardized the book that I was like, But what did you think?
I think that maybe I am just not the right audience for M. Night anymore.
Yeah.
I think I might have a chip on my shoulder about him
Yeah.
because I went into it and I thought it was mostly boring.
Mhm.
And I thought Dave Bautista was fantastic.
He's so
I
good in it.
I was like, wow, the
He
fact that he
steals
is
the show.
playing this, grade school teacher who just looks like a mountain and it's never really discussed.
No.
He's covered in tats and all that. And then the ending I thought was horrifying
Mm.
in a way that I really wonder what M. Night what his idea was for this. Is he
Hmm.
trying to show that that God is a cruel bastard?
Right. Yeah. I had that thought too. I was like, we're going like old school Bible here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was
Yeah.
like, what was his thought going into this? I mean, everybody,
Yeah.
when you're writing a story, you don't have to tell everybody what everything is,
Sure.
but you should kind of know. And it makes me
Yeah.
wonder what his, what's behind the writing of this.
Right. Like, what is when you simmer it down and you take out what is this film actually about?
Yeah.
And you try to look at it, it's like, well, is it about doing the right thing for the greater good? Is it about family? Like, you can't have your cake and eat it and the plate and the person next to you's cake. And like, it just felt like there wasn't a point. Like, I just don't know what he was trying to say.
Well, unless the point is, God exists and he's a fucking asshole.
Right. I mean, that could have been the point. Or
that's
socialism
what
is
I
much
took out of
better
it.
than, democracy. I don't know. I'm not like, I don't know.
I've listened to Paul Tremblay talk about the film and his thoughts watching it. And he was like, there were things that I thought were really great in this film. And he's like, that ending, he's like, boy, that is a way darker ending than I wrote. And he's like,
Wow.
he's like, my idea is you don't know, but M. Night tells you exactly.
I figured it out. Here you go.
Huh.
So, yeah, I don't know if I liked it or not. And I'm starting to just really not like him as a writer-director.
I think Signs was at least the last one I thought was, well, that's okay. That was entertaining.
Yeah.
But, and we even like that weird one he did with the swimming pool that everybody hated. I don't know if I still would, if I watched
in the water or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like it if I watched it again. But at the time, I enjoyed it for being what it was.
Yeah, a love letter to the hero's journey.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked The Village.
Oh, really?
I think I was the only one.
Yeah, you might be. But
if we're going to have confessions about the only M. Night film that you like that everyone else
well,
hates.
The Sixth Sense was...
Yeah, Sixth Sense, everyone.
Was and still is amazing.
The thing is, he keeps making these low-budget films, and they do very well at the theater, so he's going to be continued to, given this kind of money. And I'm okay with that. I think that there is a need for these kind of mid-budget films.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I just want them to be better.
Yeah, like The Visit, I felt like we're getting close. We're getting close to something. And then I thought Old was a big step back from that. Oof. And I feel like this is 2 steps back from that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think I liked Split.
Yeah, Split was okay.
But then Glass or whatever it was really bad again. And
I was really looking for, that's another one of his that was good, the Unbreakable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard Glass and I still haven't even watched it.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It's bad, although it's probably worth watching again because it's got to be Bruce Willis's last film where he was kind of in command of all of his mental stuff. So
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a really, on the flip side of that, a really fun, I don't know, just really enjoyable film last night called We Have a Ghost.
I've been wondering about this.
Yep. Yeah. It premiered on Netflix. It's by the person who did Freaky and the one with the girl who keeps waking up.
Happy Death Day.
Yes, thank you. Happy Death Day. Two films that are some of my favorites, as you can tell by my horrible lack of memory about titles. But aside from that, it was really fun. It's a little bit more family than his previous films. But that being said, I mean, I cried.
Oh.
I had such a good time with it.
I gotta say, the trailer looked so stupid that I was like, I think I'll pass on this. I didn't realize it was that director. So you're giving it a thumbs up.
I give it a big thumbs up. Yeah, Dave Harbour, getting to see him in a film, but he's not allowed to talk through the film, and that is set up in the trailer. Oh. That is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it yet, but this one sounds like included. All 3 of those movies sound dumb when you say what they are, or they've been done. We've already seen Body Switching done or Groundhog Day or whatever, and they're all really good.
Yeah, yeah. He's really good at like taking a premise and just twisting it into something new that it's like his stamp is just such a good stamp.
Yeah.
So.
Well, to follow up what I started talking about after the meetup with the filmmakers, Holitz and I went to see our buddy Rick Tillman play in his new band. I think they've been together, like a week or something?
I think it's been a month or 2.
Yeah, a couple months. But that was at this place called the Kraken in Seattle, which is yet another local bar that is closing and going away. Or
it's saying closing?
Yeah. Next week is their last weekend. Though they are saying they're trying to find a new location. I don't know. But anyway, so it was 3 bands. Started with a band called Serpentfoot, which is not what you think it is at all. They're out of Tacoma, and they play kind of a rockabilly surf metal.
Wow.
Sure.
And they were really, really good. The next band, Kelly, you would have hated this band with a passion. Viral Tyrant. After they were done playing, I believed over to Steve go, now what would you call that? He's like, That's probably like sludge metal.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, it was just a wall of sound
Ugh.
coming from these guys from Portland. They were good at what they were doing, but it's like, oh my God. It's just two singers both going,
Oh,
and
God.
it's just
Cookie
like,
Monster
okay.
So
vocals.
fun.
And then Rick's band, Hexecutioner.
Executioner.
They're fun. Dude, that man can play the shit out of a bass.
Rick is a world-class bass
Holy
player.
shit. I'm watching this guy play and I'm thinking, oh, there's bass players that are good that sit like somebody like Gene Simmons who sit in a band and just lay down what needs to be laid down to make the song work
Mm.
and occasionally get some flurries. He wasn't quite like Primus, but it was almost like he was playing a lead bass guitar. He was just flipping stuff all over the place and his fingers are like, dude, you are so damn good. And he was great. He had some tech problems, but it didn't slow him down at all. Once he got, it was just like, holy shit. And I had a very close, thank God I borrowed earplugs from Rick too. Thank you, Rick. But man, that was fun to watch just because I think he's the best musician in the band.
Oh, I think he's
Just-
probably always the best musician in his bands. Rick, when we first met him, I knew that he played bass in a couple of bands and all that stuff, and he gave me a copy of his CD, which then sat in my car and never got listened to. And then, like 2 years later, I think I was like, "Oh yeah, I should listen to what Rick sounds like." And then I just had it on repeat in my car for like 2 solid years.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
The band was so good. It was called Dinsdale.
Mhm.
I was like, fuck, these songs are really good. I even had to tell him, I was like, I finally listened to your CD. You're really good.
It's that moment when you realize one of your friends is extremely talented at something and you're like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want to fangirl, but
A lot of times I do such and such. Oh, that's nice. And you hear and go, oh yeah, you do that, don't you? But then you hear somebody who's like, well, you actually sing in there when you were doing the shows and stuff.
Mhm.
Really fucking good. And then, yeah, Rick was just like, holy shit. So it's cool when you find out that, oh, I do that. It's fun. Oh, whoa, you're actually really, really good at that.
Oh man.
I should mention Rick is also my partner in the publishing end of Strange Eons.
yes.
So,
Mm.
And a filmmaker in his own
and a
right.
filmmaker. And yeah, he's a groovy dude.
Aw.
Okay.
Nice.
We're
enough-
going to start a new podcast. It's called We Love Rick. Join us on Fridays where we spend 10 minutes talking about how cool Rick is.
How about we take a break from sucking Rick's dick, and then when we come back, we are talking hand-to-hand combat.
I can be any kid on the block. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
They're slugging it out. A left to the jaw, and...
Oh, my block is knocked off.
But you can press it right back on. It's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Press this lever. He throws a right, the other a left. Knock his block off. You're the winner.
Wait till next time.
You can Rock'em Sock'em with the Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx.
And we're back. Eric, this was your subgenre pick.
Yes. Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what your idea on this was again?
People beating the crap out of each other.
Very good.
Hand-to-hand combat in a movie. So I went with, as far as movie fights go, one of the more obscure fighters have filmed them, Bruce Lee,
Never heard of him.
Oh.
and his 1972 film, The Way of the Dragon.
What could be more exciting than Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon? Bruce Lee in Return of the Dragon. Yes, Bruce Lee is back, blazing his way from Hong Kong to hell in the all-new fantastic adventures of the superhero he created in Enter the Dragon. It's Lee, Unleashed. Lee, Unmarshaled. Lee, Unmerciful. against the dragon, even the best are better off dead. Bruce Lee gives his last and best performance in Return of the Dragon, rated R.
Mamma mia!
Boy, can we use him now.
Way of the Dragon. I don't know if I've seen
I think
this one.
it was changed to Return of the Dragon after he became, giant hit from that one movie he did. I don't know. Anyway, so this one is Rotten Tomatoes of 86 and 86.
Wow.
It is
very solid 86% movie.
Yeah, it's very fun. Budget of 130, worldwide box office of 130 million.
Holy cow.
So adjusted to today's dollars, he would have made a $700 million movie.
On 130,000.
Yep.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, probably adjust that too. It'd be 700,000.
Of course. Right.
Math is easy. So it's available, a lot of places. You can rent it and watch on Stars. It's the one film Bruce Lee completely directed. He directed the whole thing, and you might know him from such movies as Game of Death or footage used in documentaries years later.
Lots of footage.
He also acted as a producer, wrote the script, and played percussion on the soundtrack.
Oh my God.
Wow.
He also wrote it. Warrior is based on his writings. That movie, that TV series on HBO or whatever, a couple years ago. They're so damn good. Let's see. Acting, Bruce Lee, who you might know from Golden Gate Girl, where he was a baby. TV's Batman, The Green Hornet, the big boss. I typed the Bog Boss. That's the Big Boss. And Fists of Fury. Also starring in his first significant film role ever, Chuck Norris.
Okay, I have seen this.
The super hairy Chuck Norris. Who you might know from 196 episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger, Invasion USA, Dodgeball, Delta Force 2, and Sidekicks. He did have an uncredited role in a movie called The Wrecking Crew. So this is technically not his first film, but it's his first film. Also starring Nora Mayu, who was in The Big Boss, Private First Class, Young Dragon, Dragon Fist. Sure. And Robert Wall, who's in Enter the Dragon, Game of Death, 15 episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger, Sidekicks, and Black Belt Jones. He's a guy that I actually didn't have originally written down, and then he popped up and going, I know that face. He's the white dude with the curly hair, and I think usually has a mustache. Very memorable from Enter the Dragon.
Right.
But so the movie kind of opens up with Bruce Lee at an airport looking horribly uncomfortable, and it pulls back a little bit, and he's the only Asian guy standing in a crowd of white people staring at him, with one lady like 4 or 5 inches from his face just staring at him. And eventually her husband comes up and they walk away, but that was the whole scene. It's like,
oh my God.
Must be based on something he experienced in probably Seattle. So, but then he continues to wander the airport and figuring out how to communicate, which is kind of weird because the movie was shot silently. So everything is dubbed. So it really doesn't matter if you watch the original language or the English, because he spoke all the English language. But in the movie, I'm watching the dubbed version because it just felt right for a Bruce Lee movie. And he's having a hard time reading the English menu while he's speaking English. Like, okay, maybe he doesn't read English. Right. And he managed to order himself like 6 bowls of Campbell's soup instead of eggs. It's got that weird Hong Kong humor that's just not quite there. But he meets the lady, and we set up for the very, very original martial arts storyline of a person in trouble because big bad guys want to take their restaurant.
Whoa.
And he's there to help make sure that doesn't happen. So you get into the martial arts, and they ask him, oh, so do you do Chinese boxing? I'm like, what the hell is Chinese boxing? So I looked it up, and the description sounds like the forerunner to Jeet Kune Do, which is the martial arts Bruce Lee created, where it's like short, sharp kicks and punches, and a lot of close range, rapid hits, and a little bit of wrestling and takedown and throws. So I'm going, okay, this I can see where he started, and it is Chinese boxing is a real martial arts. It's not just a movie made up one. The fight between his bosses and the henchmen and fun and over really quickly, of course, and does include a man who looks like Wolfman Jack.
No?
Oh.
It's not him, though. Told you the plot already. It really doesn't deviate from it. The whole thing is bad guys show up, Bruce Lee kicks their ass, bad guys try to bring in tougher guys. And of course, Bruce Lee standing shirtless, flexing and popping his joints, because he has to do that at least once a movie. The movies have some strange sound effects, but of course, Bruce Lee is a strange sound effect in and of himself. What do you suppose? Do you think he'll save the restaurant?
Ooh.
Do you think he'll kick some more ass on the way?
Ooh.
And the introduction of Chuck Norris is just freaking great. This was the movie I was hoping it was, because I remembered that from watching it when I was a kid. Remembered him coming in and going, "Oh, this looks like it'll be a cool fight in this movie," and it is. So I'm going to get into trivia because the storyline is covered.
Sure.
I have told you the storyline. Taglines: the Coliseum, the battleground of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. For the Australian video release, they went all out. Bruce Lee's all-new adventure of the superhero from Enter the Dragon. Superhero? Okay. The Battle of the Kung Fu Kings. Bruce Lee versus American Chuck Norris in a fantastic new adventure. Man, can we use him now? Bruce Lee is back in the fantastic all-new adventure of the superhero from Enter the Dragon. His last performance is his best. The entire film was shot. Oh, I said that was shot without sound. Bruce Lee dubbed almost all of the English-speaking characters.
Really?
They're males. He dubbed a whole bunch of people, apparently, from the way it was worded. It was worded weirdly, so I'm going to say he dubbed some of the English-speaking languages. He spent 45 hours on the fight scene with Chuck Norris.
Wow.
Choreographed and instructed scenes took up nearly a quarter of the script, was just the description of the fight.
Wow.
Chuck Norris only says 3 words in the movie. Bob's my student.
Wow.
There's a rumor, even I'd say almost legend level rumor, about whether Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris ever fought for real or in any kind of a competition. Norris still to this day will not confirm or deny whether it took place, although he has stated on several occasions that he feels if he fought Bruce Lee in a stand-up straight-on fight, he'd get his ass kicked. So I was like, okay. There was big problems with shooting in the Coliseum because you're not supposed to do that. They don't want film shot in the Coliseum itself. So what they did is they bribed a bunch of Roman officials, snuck in all the camera gear in like tourist bags. They were only able to shoot there for a few hours. So they shot a little while getting base scenes so they could recreate back in Hong Kong and finish the fight at the Golden Harvest and blend the footage together. It's not perfect, but it's well enough done that it could pass. I mean, you could see where that brick looks very nice. That brick looks like it's a few thousand years old. It was the first Chinese film to be made in the West and the first Hong Kong director to reveal daily rushes in color. Because he wanted to match the color since they're shooting some in Italy and then shooting back in Hong Kong, he wanted to make sure that they kept those colors working. There's a scene or two that are just fucking gorgeous, incredibly well shot. Most is fine, but there was a scene or two, like there's something in the dark where they're kind of sitting planning something. I'm like, fuck, this looks amazing.
And Bruce directed, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. It was billed as Return of the Dragon because during its Western release, it was re-released to cash in on the success of Enter the Dragon, which came out in 1973, when The Way of the Dragon actually came out in 1972. But wasn't released in the U.S. until 1974. So for us U.S. audiences, it was a brand new experience. I mean, they spent like weeks shooting that fight too. And there's possibilities, like they're saying that they punched each other for real a few times, and there's the very strange scene where he grabs Chuck's chest hair and pulls it off.
Yes, I
Oh my
remember that.
God.
Chuck is hairy in this movie, man. I mean, it's like all the way back over his shoulders,
Yeah.
kind of like it's a 70s man's man.
Yeah, he looks like he's wearing a sweater.
Yep.
Jeez.
But, so that, bam, nailed it that time. No going over. No extra trivia.
I might have to watch this again. Man, it's been forever since I've seen
Yeah.
this one.
I don't think I saw it since the 80s.
Yeah.
And, it's good. It holds up well. It's not Enter the Dragon, but that's a friggin' masterpiece of a martial arts film.
I'm really surprised it's got 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. That seems high, but I don't know.
It's, earlier we were talking about Cocaine Bear. It's exactly what you expect it to be. This movie is exactly what you expect it to be. It's really not much more, but it's definitely not less. So it's well worth checking out.
Well, Vanessa, I'm going to put 10 minutes on the timer.
Man, my heart is already racing.
And there you go.
All right. So I went with a recommendation of a film called Wheels on Meals from 1984.
Welcome to romantic Spain, land of bullfights, flamenco, and beautiful, mysterious, dangerous women. Like this one. But for these three fellows, what is danger? Trouble is their business. Well, that's not exactly true. Their business is a food van. Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, and featuring Benny the Jet Urquidez. Come join Hong Kong's most amazing martial arts superstars as they team up to serve up an all-time classic dish of international action. A non-stop roller coaster of excitement. A 4-star slam bang romp. Directed by the great Sammo Hung, it's one part James Bond, one part Bruce Lee, one part Inspector Clouseau. And it's not half bad. Wheels on Meals, a motion picture that really delivers. Available now on video cassette.
Strange title, but I'll get into that later. It's a Hong Kong martial arts comedy film. Budget of ? Do not know. Box office of estimated 13 million. It was a huge box office hit in East Asia. Rotten Tomato, nothing from critics, but 81% from audience. So, it's got somebody likes it. Directed by, I'm going to try to pronounce these names correctly. I apologize ahead. Sammo Kambo Hyung. He's an actor, director, stunt artist, has 37 directing credits, including Mr. Nice Guy, Blade of Fury. He has 200 acting credits and 69 stunt credits. He broke into the scene when he was a sparring partner with Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. He produced several kung fu comedies, including Enter the Fat Dragon. Written,
I think I know this actor. Sounds familiar.
You definitely would. He's very recognizable. Written by Edward Tang. He has 20 credits, including Rumble in the Bronx, Legend of Drunken Master, Police Story, and Mr. Nice Guy. And Gwing Gai Lee, 29 credits, including Legend of the Dragon and the Painted Veil. Starring Jackie Chan. 144 acting credits, 80 stunt credits, 18 directing credits, and 64 producing credits. This guy, we all know him. Known for Hong Kong films before breaking out in Rush Hour in the U.S., where he's had a successful career. He was actually, and we might have mentioned this before, but he was approached to play the villain in Demolition Man, but turned it down because he didn't want to be typecast as a bad guy. So now he's known as always being the good guy. Also starring Biao Yang, 133 acting credits, 36 stunt credits, Shanghai Noon, Prodigal Son, Righting Wrongs, and Project A. And the third star is also the director, Sammo Kambo Hyung. So these three actors attended the China Drama Academy and were known as the Three Brothers. So this is part of a long legacy of films that they did together. The story, man. This whole thing really threw me for a loop. All right, so we open on this sort of well-established bromance between two cousins. They wake up in their apartment, come out of their rooms, and immediately jump into a training montage together. But it's like ridiculous. They're like almost bumping heads and they're like sort of slipping on things, and it becomes very clear it's going to be comedic physical humor. Suddenly, their Italian neighbor runs into their apartment. By the way, this is all taking place in Spain. He's attempting to hide from his wife, who he cheated on. They tell him, "Hey, you know, that was not good." And he goes, "I know, but I'm Italian." So they need to find another way out because his wife may kill him, and they've got to get to their job. Jackie Chan, who's played his title name is Thomas, jumps out the window, bounces off the awning below, does a big flip, and lands perfectly. The owner of the shop gives him a very irritated look, and just as his cousin David is jumping out, the awning is put away, and David lands flat on the ground. Now we begin the film. So the cousins are living in Barcelona. They're running a food truck together, which is where you get Wheels on Meals, kind of. They live in a version of Spain where everyone speaks Chinese. The punch sounds are very poorly placed. They do not happen when people actually hit each other. They sound ridiculous because they're like... And there's a zany soundtrack, a very zany soundtrack, constantly going. We see that they're really loved by the community. They go to a local street market where Jackie Chan skateboards around, taking orders from people. And then when he has the food, he does really fascinating, fun, physical ways of giving it to people, throwing it over awnings, placing it on top of people and picking it back up, just doing fun things with his skateboard. And then, of course, a motorbike gang shows up to disturb the peace, and they have to fight them. So we see that they are cool, good dudes who are just cool, good dudes. Meanwhile, a kind of friend of theirs works at a detective agency, Moby. He arrives for work, and the lead PI shows up, complains about the power being out. Moby reminds them they haven't paid the bills in 3 months. He tells them, Moby tells his boss, you know, there's some guys looking for you. They say you owe him a bunch of money. And the detective says, no, that's all code. It means that there's this case and they need me on it. And I got to go out of town immediately. And he's like, okay, well, they're coming up at noon. And he goes, oh, well, that's code for my life is in danger. Bye. You are now running this agency. Good luck. I mean, he was like an assistant who was supposed to be changing light bulbs, and now he is the lead PI. As soon as his boss takes off, a man comes in and says, I need help with a missing persons case, and he hands him huge wads of cash up front. So Moby takes the job. Meanwhile, David and Thomas go to visit their father, uncle, respectively, who's in a mental institute. There's a lot of zany characters, a lot of insanity that happens with a lot of weird jokes, but it's kind of neat the way they take on like mental illness. Like they're not like these are stupid people. They're very smart people who just happen to have a mental illness. Anyway, they discover that his father is dating a beautiful woman. Or rather, when the woman steps away, her elderly mother. They both instantly want to ask out Sylvia, but David, who is the one who seems the most interested, chickens out at the last minute. They then go to their next job, serving food in the red light district, where the hookers are extremely friendly customers. Here they see Sylvia again, but this time she is selling herself, and David is incredibly disappointed. But it turns out actually she's just a thief. She's stealing men's money, and she hides out in their truck, and they take her away. At this point, they start to become friends with Sylvia, and the story with Moby trying to find a mystery missing person hits them right in the head when Moby is, of course, actually looking for Sylvia. There is a huge plot about other hired men trying to find her, as well as the guy who hired Moby. There's a lot of slapstick, there's an adventure, there's a royal conspiracy, and of course the three boys must fight together a lot to get all the way to the top of a castle. So it's insane. It's literally insane. First of all, why does everyone in Spain speak traditional and simplified Chinese? It is dubbed, but it's still very weird. It's such a crazy movie when Jackie Chan, for example, climbs up the castle wall using 2 sticks, balancing them as poles, and vaulting himself up about 8 stories. Then he gets to the top, looks over the edge, gets hit in the face by a baseball, and then falls back down because the henchmen in the castle are playing, a midnight game of 3-man baseball. It's just constantly so strange. In the insane asylum, there's a guy who's a clock, and he just keeps going back, going tick, 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 tick. And then they're like, "Hey, what time is it?" And he tells them the wrong time. They're like, "Ooh, not the right time." The guy goes, "Oh, I'm slow," and starts going faster and faster and faster to try to catch up.
Oh my God.
Later, he goes off as an alarm, and somebody has to hit him on the top of the head, so he gets reset. There's just the comedy is absolutely insane. It's just a delightful, delightful film. There's car chases. There's this surreal, absurd humor. It was a lot of fun. Trivia. Tagline, not since Don Quixote has Spain had so much fun.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know how to deal with that. The reason this is titled Wheels on Meals instead of Meals on Wheels is because of a superstition. Golden Harvest had produced 2 movies beginning with M, including Megaforce and Ménage à Trois, both huge flops. So they decided they could not have another film title starting with an M. They decided to film this outside of Hong Kong because by the time it was 1984, Hong Kong was impossible to shoot in. They were all too big of action stars, so they would just get swarmed by people on the streets. And on top of that, in the Hong Kong permits were getting incredibly difficult from the government. So in Spain, the authorities were very cooperative, allowing them to use locations for filming and even chasing cars down the street and doing fight scenes. They were just like, "Yeah, cool, film here. It sounds good."
Nice.
The final fight between Jackie Chan and Benny Urgudes, which is considered one of the greatest fight scenes of all time, and it is extremely good. The fight scenes in this are so well choreographed. They're just incredible to watch. There's so much movement. There's so much talent. And I would highly, highly recommend this film. Couple other pieces of trivia, not super exciting, other than there was a video game adapted off this called Spartan X. Released as Kung Fu Master internationally. It laid the foundations for beat-em-up genre of action games. So this film actually started an entire genre of games, which is kind of cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Vanessa, how are we supposed to tell when the aliens take you over and impersonate you? Because all of a sudden you've got a sense of humor.
Well, that's the thing. I was literally trying to look up what sense of humor are the 3 things I like sense of humor in. And I'm trying to figure out what it is that I find funny.
Absurdist?
I think it might be absurdist because it's just like, it's not that people hitting each other is funny. It's the insanity of the situations that they're in while they're hitting each other that's funny. So, like they're having a sword fight, like the guy who's in the castle head dude, I don't know, Duke, whatever. He's got the sword out, and all of a sudden Moby, the fat, stumbly, like PI detective guy who keeps getting slashed and hit in the butt and whatever, picks up a sword, is incredible with it, and just starts fighting perfectly. And you're like, what? What is happening? It's so good because it's just so strange. And I felt that same way about the 5 Elements as well. Like, it's just so weird.
I like it.
Yeah, I think you guys would both really dig this movie. So if you get a chance, unfortunately I could only find it on Amazon as a paid rental, but I think it is out there for free on Plex.
Who recommended this to you?
My husband.
Oh, all
yes.
right.
He's obsessed with martial arts movies, Asian movies. He's I think he went to film school and got really, really into the Asian side of things. So I told him I need a really good fight scene, and he was like, "You have to see this movie." So
very cool. Okay, for my movie, let's see, putting 10 minutes on here. I chose something pretty recent from 2018, Upgrade.
Can I have everybody's attention?
I'm looking for the guys who murdered my wife.
Are you one of them?
Yeah. Stanley can take over.
Thank you. I now have full control.
Hi.
You upgraded. Now you're stronger. Faster. Better than everyone else.
Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
We all chose highly rated movies because this has a Rotten Tomatoes critics of 88% and the audience has it at 87%.
Wow.
Budget of $5 million, box office of $17 million worldwide. Written and directed by Lee Whannell, who has 5 directing credits, including Insidious Chapter 3, The Invisible Man, and get this, Upgrade, the upcoming TV series that is in pre-production right now.
If that doesn't have not Tom Hardy in it, though, I'm going to freak.
Starring Logan Marshall Green, also known as Tom Hardley. 37 credits, including Devil, Prometheus, and The Invitation, which I believe you spoke about on this show, right,
I
Vanessa?
did. Yeah, I covered The Invitation.
Also starring Harrison Gilbertson, who has 23 credits, including Haunt, Devil's Peak, and In the Tall Grass, which is definitely not a road movie.
It is 100%. It's on the side of a road. What do you want?
Also starring Betty Gabriel, who has 23 credits. You probably recognize her most as the woman in Get Out, who you first start realizing something is very wrong in the house. She's also in The Spine of Night and Beyond Skyline. So this story is really cool. It starts with a nice misdirect of an opening that it's an opening shot on a vinyl record being played in somebody's garage. And we meet Gray, who is working on the engine of a beautiful Trans Am from the 80s. They do this one thing that I fucking hate in movies. We see him ratchet a couple of bolts down in opposite corners of the engine. And then he gets inside and turns the key with like a hopeful look, and it roars to life. And I'm like, what the fuck did you have to tighten down with 3 ratchets on opposite sides of the engine that would make this hopefully start? It's like, Jesus
Something was
Christ.
loose.
Come on.
This was loose and that was loose. Now it's tight.
Boom. I did it. Anyway, he leaves his garage, and sitting in his driveway is an early 70s Dodge Challenger to continue the misdirect. But then this very futuristic self-driving car shows up. And we realize that Gray is just an old-fashioned dude in a world that is set maybe 15 or 20 years in the future. His wife is driving this fancy smart car, and their house is a smart house and all of that. Everything has a surface that you can touch, and then it comes to life, and the house talks to them and all that stuff. It turns out that Gray was restoring the Trans Am for a client, and he has his wife follow him to drop the car off. When they get there, we find out that the client is kind of an Elon Musk kind of guy. In fact, his name is Iran.
Oh, jeez.
He's very uncomfortable in social situations and all of that, but then he shows them this thing he's created called STEM that is going to revolutionize the world. It's basically a neural implant kind of thing, just like Musk is trying to do.
Yeah.
And if he succeeds in this, it's probably going to turn out just like this movie.
Yes.
So, on their drive home, their smart car malfunctions and crashes in a very bad part of town. And then this group of very bad people pull them out of the car. And even though there are police drones filming everything, they murder his wife in cold blood and shoot Gray in the spine. When he wakes up, he's in the hospital, and he's now quadriplegic. And we get a chunk of time spent realistically depicting how horrible that would be, how he needs to be bathed and shaved and helped with everything. We also see him try to kill himself by having his drug robot administer too much medication. But that doesn't work either, because the drug robot is like, if I administer more, you will die. And he's trying to get it to do it for that exact reason. So when he's at his lowest, Iran suddenly shows up and offers him a second chance at life with a secret surgery to implant STEM in him. The surgery works, and all of a sudden Gray can walk again and do everything he was unable to do. The catch is he can't let anyone know that this surgery happened, or they'll probably throw Iran in prison and take it out of him, and he'll become a quadriplegic again. So Gray signs a non-disclosure agreement and heads home. When he gets home, however, he has quite a start when Stem starts talking to him in his head. Stem has seen the drone footage of his wife getting killed and has spotted some clues that might prove who the killers were. The problem is there's no way to give this information to the police without betraying Iran and Stem's existence. So Stem's solution is Gray go to the suspect's house and see if he can find more proof. So Gray does this. He sneaks into the guy's trailer while he's gone, but once inside, he's not finding anything that can really help. And then worse, the guy comes home and finds Gray in his house and starts kicking the shit out of him. So this movie has some truly amazing fight scenes, but the one that I thought of immediately when you suggested this, Eric, is this very first fight scene. It's so unexpected because Gray's getting the shit kicked out of him, and in his head he could hear Stem saying things like, "You're going to have to be quicker than that, Gray," or "You won't be able to take many more hits like that one." And then finally, "Would you like me to help?" And Gray says, "Yes, help." And he's like, "I need you to relinquish control. I need you to give me permission." And he's like, "I give you permission." And then all of a sudden, everything changes. He's basically a passenger in his own body while well, Stem is using his body to just kick the fuck out of this guy. And it is such a bizarre fight. So you will start laughing watching this sequence. Logan Marshall Green is so good in this particular fight sequence because he's so surprised at everything he's doing that he's blocking everything and it's getting really violent, and he starts like closing his eyes and wincing at everything that he's doing to the guy. And in fact, he finally tells him, "Please stay down, please stay down." And the guy keeps getting up and fighting him until Stem just destroys him. It's really brutal. It's brilliant and so interestingly shot that it stuck with me since my very first viewing. And I'll get into what makes the shooting in this so interesting. From here, the movie turns into an all-out action film, basically, with Gray alternating between killing all the guys that killed his wife and still acting like a quadriplegic around the police and his mom, and all while Iran is trying to shut Stem down from a distance because he can track him, of course. He's got this multi-million-dollar chip in Gray, and he's not just going to let him walk off and do everything. And then Stem is trying to take more and more control of Gray's body. There's some really interesting ideas here with various segments of society upgrading parts of themselves, whether it's their eyes so that they can read more information, stuff like that, or guns that are built into their forearms, or even having deadly nanobots that can be sneezed towards you and then kill you when you inhale them. It's really cool shit. In 2018, none of this seemed that far-fetched, but in 2023, it now seems practically inevitable and really right around the corner. It's a really good, really smart, gory action sci-fi flick, and if you have not seen it, I say you must. Some trivia. During the fight scenes, the camera often tracks Gray so that he remains in the middle of the frame, and this was achieved by hiding a phone somewhere on Logan Marshall Green and then syncing the phone to the red cameras that were following him so that he was always perfectly in the center of the shot while he was doing all the movements. And it's really weird. It's almost like those shots where you would see somebody running and they've clearly got a camera connected to them, so it makes everything look strange. Well, this is shot from a distance. You could tell there's nothing connected to him. It's a really neat effect. There's a scene where Gray is reviewing his dead wife's autopsy paperwork, and when paused, you can see his wife was born in 2008, and at the time of her death, she is 38, which means the movie is set in the year 2046.
Just around the corner.
Right around the corner. The character Stem only presents itself as a voice in the movie. The word STEM is Dutch for voice.
Oh, well.
STEM is also an abbreviation for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then the film has drawn a lot of comparisons to another 2018 film, Venom. But Lee Winnell says he was not familiar with the comic book character before writing the film. Interestingly, the lead actors of both films, Logan Marshall Green and Tom Hardy, bear a striking resemblance to each other.
Yes, they do.
I think that this is not a perfect movie, but it's pretty dang close. And I think that if Venom, which I know we all have real issues with.
I love it.
I know you do, but not because it's a good movie.
No. I accept it.
But I think that if it had been a little more like this movie, it would have been much more successful, I think, Venom. This movie is this tiny little film that still shocks me so many or so few people have seen. So, I don't know. This is a much better version of Venom, I think.
Yeah, it's an incredible film. Just you talking about it gets me like, I gotta rewatch this movie. It's so good. if you have a choice between seeing Venom and this, you should definitely see this. Upgrade is great.
Yeah, and I've got friends who really loved Venom, and when I saw it, I was like, "You guys need to see Upgrade," and they were like, "What's that?" I was like, "It's this movie, only better."
Correct.
Is that a Blumhouse film?
Ooh, I don't
No.
Okay.
think so. Right?
Because I know he
but
worked on a
James
bunch of
Wan
them.
is the producer of this one.
Okay.
And so, oh wait, James Wan's not strictly Blumhouse, is he?
No.
So,
I mean, he might be now, but he was not.
yeah. I don't know, but everything that Lee Winnell does is produced by James Wan, so they've got some kind of very solid partnership going on.
I always kind of default sometimes if it's a really good Blumhouse movie, and all the Blumhouse haters just avoid it just because it has that name on it. But that's freaking great.
Are there Blumhouse haters? I think that there should be more Blumhouse haters. Quite honestly.
Yes.
It's hard to be a Blumhouse hater, though, because like 1 in every 10 or 15 is incredible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't be mad at the spaghetti that sticks to the wall, you know? Or I guess the ones that fall off. You should be appreciative of the one that stuck to the wall.
You have a way with words.
Yes.
I'm just hungry.
All right. Vanessa, I think it is your turn for the next pick, right?
I believe that you are right. So it's been a hot minute since, I don't know. I would love to look at films where they feature a seance.
Ooh, like people sitting around a table, looking at each other.
I
No, wait, that's this.
It's
Damn it.
I get not a podcast. We're not trying to raise the dead. We're trying to raise our ratings. But yeah, I think there are some really fun uses out there, of course, of the seance. It's a very classic thing, and it shows up and sneaks up in even unexpected films. So I think we will have a lot of interesting possibilities out of this.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like this idea. All right, then. Well, this is the part where we thank everybody for liking and sharing posts, participating in the Value for Value model. You can call in and tell us your thoughts on the Strange Eons radio hotline, which is 253-237-4266. Drop us a note. Say hi.
Yeah. Come on down.
Come on down.
With
You're the
your
next contestant on The
mouse
Price is Right.
and keyboard.
Anything else, guys, or shall we call this an episode?
Reiterate thanks to all the folks who do anything involved with this weird ass thing we do. But yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, then we will be back in 7 short days, and we are talking seances. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
So stressful. So stressful. I'm glad you're getting a little bit more of a hint of what it's like for me. One day, you'll wake up from a terrible nightmare, and then you'll really know what it's like when it goes off for me.